Hi all! Everything in my video is pulled from the public domain, and I am using them under the Fair Use, Fair Dealings guidelines. Everything I say is my own opinion. You should look into this information for yourselves, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Good morning, everybody. I hope everybody had a fabulous weekend. We have a lot to cover today, good, bad, and ugly. A lot of the Royals are out and about doing their thing. And so this might be, again, a longer than usual video. I know you guys like that. So let's just jump in and get there, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start with Prince Edward. I told you guys he flew to Washington. He is there to present 3 UK honor recipients with their awards. I just love him. First off, we have Oliver St. Clair, who was given the Honorary Commander of the Order of the British Empire for services to UK and US relations, both in his role of Honorary Consul of Philadelphia and wider efforts throughout the transatlantic. Very good. Congratulations. Next up, we have Angela Moore. She was given the Honorary Commander of the Order of the British Empire for services to economic development and philanthropy in Northern Ireland. She has apparently used her business connection and reputation to position to empower business women, and she's an advocate for Northern Ireland and gives back to her community through the island of Ireland. Congratulations, Angela. And last up, we have Ernie Allen, who was given the Honorary Officer of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire for services to the protection of children in the UK. He is chair of the We Protect Global Alliance, and he has been helping with international efforts to stop child exploitation, which I think is fabulous. He's also CEO of the U.S. National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. Wonderful. Congratulations. All right, next up, we're going to have a talk about Andrew. Now, we know that Andrew went and tried to pressure the Queen multiple times to let him see a path back, and William and Charles blocked him like every single time. So now, apparently, Andrew had a meeting with Charles, and Charles told him that, it's not going to happen. And Andrew, they're claiming, was blindsided because he always believed that there would be a way back for him, always. And of course, the Queen said no, and now Charles is saying no, and apparently he's really upset. Yes, he's lost his HRH, he's lost his military roles, he's paid millions to settle, the case brought against him by Virginia Giuffre, but he's always said that he didn't do it, and that he basically had to settle because the Queen's Platinum Jubilee was coming up. And what he's stating is he thought that since he's staying as a counselor of state, he should be included at royal and state events. And because he is a prince of the blood, he feels that his HRH should be reinstated and his position recognized. And, no. Now, we also know that Charles and William intervened in June, and they stopped Andrew from appearing in public at the Garter Day service, although he went to the luncheon afterwards, which was a private affair. But no, he's out. He just can't accept it. Really a shame, because he never admitted to anything. Well, you guys know how much I love Australian news, and they had something to say about that. Listen to this.
So, if we are to believe the reports over the weekend, there was quite the temper tantrum and tear fest when King Charles told his brother, sorry pal, no way back. I know mummy liked you, but you are not coming back to royal service.
Well, it seems so, and I mean, the only person who probably believed in this on the whole planet that he had a chance of coming back to royal life was Prince Andrew himself. I mean, he's absolutely left himself in complete disgrace due to his relationship with the convicted paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, and of course his longtime friend Ghislaine Maxwell is now languishing in jail for about 20-30 years. So, there really was no way back for him, and yet he still thought that he had something to offer the royal family. But of course, King Charles is certainly trying to create his own legacy now, as well as Prince of Wales. Prince William has got a lot at stake for his family. So, it's not of any surprise to anyone but the Duke of York himself that he's been definitely sidelined, and certainly with his late mother out of the picture now after her very, very sad passing in recent weeks. I definitely see no way back for Andrew at all.
Well, there you go. He should just live in his mansion and enjoy his off time. All right, moving on. All right, just going to jump on this really quick because I already showed you. The Earthshot Prize took over the Piccadilly Lights in the heart of London to announce the 2022 finalists, and a matching board went up in Fenway Park. I think that's wonderful. I'm so looking forward to that. All right, moving on. All right, the information is now coming out that Catherine is going to hold another Christmas carol at Westminster Abbey. Guests are being nominated by local Lord Lieutenants from various charities, grassroots organizations, and of course the royal patronages. I love this. And this year, it's going to be in memory of the Queen, which I think is just lovely. I'm looking forward to seeing who's going to be singing this year. And I wonder, now we know that last year Catherine played the piano. She did an amazing job. We also know the Sussex squad made fun of her because she practiced for it. Like nobody ever practices for those sort of things, right? But anyway, it was fabulous last year. It's going to be fabulous this year. I can't wait to see what she wears. I hope we'll get to see some familiar faces. I would hope that Mila would be invited back. I'd love to see that little girl again. And Tony, yeah. I feel like I know these people already because I've reported on them, and I would love to see how that comes. You know what I mean? I'd love to see Mila twirling in a dress again like she did last year. I know that sounds kind of quirky and stupid, but yeah, that's what I would like. All right, let's move on to our next story, which is also about Catherine. All right, we had the Rugby League World Quarter Cup Finals. Princess of Wales is now the patron. She took it over from Harry. We're already aware of all of this. Well, she wasn't going to let a little rain stop her. The Lord Lieutenant greeted her and accompanied her out onto the pitch. Here she is heading out into the rain. Watch this. This match was the men's quarterfinal match between England and New Guinea, and it was at the DW Stadium in Wigan. So she walked out onto the pitch. There was pouring rain. Not that she cared. She went around. She greeted both teams, which I thought was super nice. And there were little children standing in front of the players. I don't know if those were their children. Like, I really don't know who these kids were that were lined up. Maybe there's a child's team that was there. Like I researched, I couldn't figure out who they were. Okay, so anyway, as she's going through the crowd in the rain, looking effortless, of course, the crowd was cheering, they were clapping, but at one point she raised a hand to wave to them, and the crowd went absolutely crazy. Watch this.
For a classic. The Princess of Wales makes her way to get across the line that you see in brilliant wingers.
I'm so excited for this game because I think there's genuine threat that England could be outperformed. The crowd go up and go wild for the Princess of Wales, but I'm excited.
They love her. The crowds love her. And why shouldn't they? She's the Princess of Wales. She's unpretentious. She doesn't talk down to people. She's very athletic. You know that she's not just the patron because she took it over from Harry. She truly enjoys this kind of stuff. And that's what people like. All right. So when she got done effortlessly walking through the rain, looking absolutely gorgeous, which makes everybody, including me, jealous, she made her way up into the stands to take her seat so she could watch the game. Here she is talking to TV presenter Claire Boulding, who was seated in front of her, so the lady had to lean back to talk to her. Now, the articles pointed out that she was seated between two rugby bigwigs. I don't know who they are. They didn't identify them. Not at this point, no sorry, but not at this point like I care. It's being reported that there were over 23,000 people in the stadium, which I can believe from this photo. At least they were shielded from the rain, as you can see from the top. Now, she's having a great time, and then halftime hit. And during halftime, she went back into the locker room to meet with the women's team who had won earlier that day against Canada. I think that was lovely that they brought the women's team there to talk to her as well. Apparently she got on with a lot of them. They, photo bombing in the stands. And with that, the Women's Rugby League reported that they expect a record attendance because Catherine is going to be there to watch them as well. Love it. Go women and men's teams and go Catherine. All right, let's move on. All right, here we go. Omid Scobie's throwing himself out there, but what he is reporting on, and he wouldn't be reporting on it without Harry and Meghan's approval. We know this now. But what he's saying could come back to bite Harry big time. They're saying that, number one, Harry made no changes to the memoir after the Queen died. Number two, he chose the title himself. And number three, he's prepared for the very real risk of blowback from the book. He's claiming that Harry is the royal scapegoat, that he's always been the scapegoat. Yeah, there you go. Victim narrative. And I want to send a big thank you to Andy's mom for posting this on Twitter. Yeah, Omen is putting that Meghan has a warm and close relationship with Charles and Camilla, and she adores her father-in-law, who is incredibly supportive, and they just love each other. He wrote, they're the perfect parents-in-law, and the feeling is mutual. I don't know why he writes this stuff. We all know it's not true. Meghan tried to get an audience with him, and he refused. What does that tell you? Well, once again, Australian News had something to say. Listen to this.
Now, also, a new book is claiming that Meghan absolutely couldn't be interested in the efforts from the now Queen Camilla to say, you're part of this family. She tried to reach out, and Meghan told her to get stuffed.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? It's coming up to Christmas season, so there's an awful lot of biographies and royal books that are coming out, and there's the ante seems to be ramped up with every book that comes out. However, from my own understanding, I know that Meghan obviously had a fraught relationship with members of the palace, members of the family, healed. And I think that Harry's book is a real potential problem, not only for Harry's relationship with his family, which I think is pretty much wrecked. I think that for the monarchy at large, they will be really fearing what's about to come out of this book, unfortunately.
Now, my subscriber, Roxy, sent me the following article, which I was just like, what? Now, it's very small, so I'm just going to give you an oversight, okay? What it says is it starts off by saying that the Herald Sun has an advanced copy of Harry's book. And, they said the book is full of insightful revelation and hard-won wisdom, especially the bits about Kate and William, written by my wife, Saint Meghan, I call her. Sorry. The idea for the book came to us while we were flying on our private jet on the way to London to educate school children about their carbon footprint. The title Spare relates to my growing up not as the heir but the neglected spare, hidden away in a $26 million sun-soaked Montecito mansion. And I'm not the spare anymore, having been shuffled down to 5th place by the 3 Cambridge brats. But the book's dust cover has been printed by the time someone worked that out. You guys get the idea. Okay. And at the end, it says, I'm always about serving the public and serving up many examples of my pain, loneliness, and hardship as a member of the British family. These are tales that can be told from the beaches of Mystique, the wilds of Africa, and the tax haven of the Cayman Islands, as well as the ski fields of Aspen. Read this article. All right, moving on. Now, you guys should know, we know that they're trying to rebrand Meghan. And what's being said is that this book is going to help try to put out a new narrative about her. He's going to put basically that she was his savior, even though we know better than that. We know that he had mental health from his brother and his dad, but he's trying to fix the narrative. He's trying to make you guys like her. Unfortunately, she's an unlikable person who's been proven to be a liar. Now he's a liar too. This book is going to be nothing but lies. All right. I mean, we know what's going on. Now it's being reported he got into it with the ghostwriter because here's what basically happened. Harry spilled his guts. He wanted to hurt his family. The ghostwriter took all the information Harry gave him, put it in the book. What Harry didn't count on was the Queen dying. So now you have a problem. Yeah. And now you've got people like Rolling Stone magazine. Remember Rolling Stone, who gave that interview to Christopher Boozy without double checking their facts? As a matter of fact, a lot of journalists did. And now it's coming out that what they printed was incorrect. Well, Rolling Stone is using Invictus Games. They put up this article saying that his memoir has already hit #1, even though it hasn't been released. No figures to prove that. That's not true. All right, let's move on now to The Crown, okay? They're saying that the first 10 hours is nothing but malevolence, tosh, artfully wrapped around real events. Apparently, the Queen's biographer forensically went through it and demolished it. He said that saying it's only a drama doesn't cut it anymore because around the world, The Crown is becoming the narrative. And when you're discussing the monarchy with overseas audiences, it becomes very apparent because every time you try to talk to them apparently about the royal family, they're talking about things that happened in The Crown, which isn't real. Now, the young lady who plays Princess Diana has now waded in and said, if you watch it, you can clearly see that it's not real. It's supposed to be fictional. Well, that may be what you see, but that's not what other people see. Even Tony Blair spoke up and said it was rubbish. Former Prime Minister Sir John Major also wrote in to the Telegraph, and this is what he wrote. I've blown up the sections here so you can freeze the screen and read it, but I love what he wrote here where, while Netflix may say that any publicity is good publicity, you don't disrespect the memory of those no longer alive or put words into the mouths of people that are still living but are not in a position to defend themselves. Exactly. He points out that while he has not seen the series, he's been told that there are multiple series depicted or scenes depicted that are utterly untrue and will be very hurtful to the family. He said, Netflix continues to refuse to put out a disclaimer because they say that everybody knows this is a drama, but apparently that's inaccurate. So while you guys may not agree with me, you know what I think? I think Netflix is getting back at the royal family for cutting out any chance of Harry and Meghan getting content during the Queen's funeral and behind the scenes. That's what I think, since they barred them from all royal property. That's what I think. Netflix is like, well, they screwed us, so let's just screw them right back. That's my thought process. Now, at the same time, the man who writes The Crown had an affair. So what did he do? He hired Schilling, the same law firm, I believe, that Harry and Meghan are using in the UK, who instructed people to, quote, refrain from intruding into our client's private life and stop publishing speculation about his relationships and family life. Really, while you're writing this dribble about the royal family, this is what you want. Karma. All right, moving on. We know that Harry and Andrew and the whole family, they put the memorial wreaths, at the cenotaph, and there's a company that makes them, and apparently they would put the wreaths on display, and they took Harry and Andrew's wreaths down. They're no longer displaying them. Good for the company. There you go. It's like we're done with them. They don't lay wreaths there anymore. Remember when Harry had a fit because the royal family wouldn't lay his wreath? All right, now we're going to kind of go back towards the book. Apparently, King Charles has made many threats to Harry and Meghan and warned them not to slander or they're going to have their titles pulled. Well, Angela Levin went on TV and said, well, that's not really true. He can't do that. It's up to Parliament, that he doesn't have that kind of power. Well, you're forgetting that Parliament they're doing this reading. It's going to happen again in December. I think Parliament is taking action. So they can take the action and hand it to Charles and Charles signs off. Yeah, I think Angela Levin's wrong on this part. All right, moving on. All right, the last little story we're going to look at is that it was put out by somebody that Meghan requested that Catherine, Princess of Wales, be on her podcast. Number one, I don't believe that for a second. Number two, Catherine would never do something so stupid. And number three, I'm sure she realizes that anything she said, Meghan would edit out and it would make her look bad. So I don't believe that story. All right, we're going to look now at some of the comments that you guys put about the Uvalde story. You guys really were quite vocal about that. This particular person said that Catherine was disgusted by the opportunist's desperate bandwagon jump for publicity. And can Christopher Anderson back up his claim? And why is Jack Royston doing that. Well, Jack Royston is a Sussex squad member, massive Sussex squad member, in case you guys were unaware. Joanne pointed out the same thing I did. Catherine did it with a minimum of fuss. She didn't bring a camera crew. She did bring bodyguards, but they melded in with the crowd. They weren't holding people back. She did it discreetly and with a minimum of fuss. Yeah. MEB rightly pointed out that Catherine knew that area, but Megan knew nothing about Uvalde. And Joe Ricardo said basically the same thing. Evelyn Hiller pointed out that Megan's Uvalde visit was full of fanfare and don't you know who I am? And that could never be compared to the anonymous humble trip to lay flowers and pay respects that Catherine did. And I completely agree with this subscriber. Nobody believes that Catherine supported that visit. It's not true. All right, one more quick update. Remember I showed you, this is Dr. Dunlap, the one that was screeching at Valentine Lowe, talking up the Sussexes and telling the royal family they should just let all the attacks roll off their back. Remember that? Yeah. Well, let me remind you what I wrote in response to this tweet above. All right. So this is what I wrote to her. That's what's wrong with your thinking, because Harry and Meghan attacked the family relentlessly since they left, making unsubstantiated and blanket accusations, and yet you're telling other people to leave them alone and let the royal family roll off their back. Let all the accusations and the constant attacks roll off their back. She responded. Yeah, crazy. She wrote, I think I do the opposite, make the royal family, of which I'm a supporter, look brittle. Well, you see what other people have written here. People were prepared to order it. They're not. Pointing out facts is not slagging off on them. They were given every grace and opportunity. They were coddled. And other people pointed out that a historian should be, working with facts. Not just, you should be fact checking what you're saying. You don't just go on national TV and, slap off on another person who wrote a book who has all of their receipts. There you go. Now, finally, we've all seen the nasty looks that Meghan has given to Catherine through the years, in church, at church, leaving church. We've seen this. But what I didn't pay attention to was the nasty look, these vengeful, nasty looks that she's giving to Catherine, even at the Queen's funeral. Like, she's so jealous. Watch this. All right, you guys, once again, lots of information. I want those comments. I'm reading those comments. Make them good, okay? Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button. If you've already hit the button, just double check and make sure you're still subscribed. I'm still getting comments from people saying they're unsubscribed. I'm telling you guys, I have nothing to do with that, and I don't know why it's happening. All you can do is just double check and make sure you're still subscribed and resubscribe, okay? Don't forget to go into my description box, and the links for Twitter, Getter, Rumble, my email, and my Patreon account, if you want to join me there, can all be located there. For those of you who've donated to my coffee fund and through the thanks button, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.